when we come together on a Sunday morning, what we're doing is very different from what we do at home when we're worshipping on our own. And I'm interested in what the value is, what the importance of worshipping together as a group of people is. What are your thoughts on that?
I think for me, there's something very biblical and very key about worshipping together corporately. I'm always drawn to the stories, one from the Old Testament in one of the Chronicles where the children of Israel worshipped together, and it says that the presence of God was so strong it settled on them like a cloud. The priests couldn't perform their duties, and there's this idea that corporately as we come together, the presence of God appears to be even stronger. It's like the Jesus in me meets with the Jesus in you, and there's something really powerful and synergetic about that. There's a story from the New Testament when Paul and Silas are in prison and they worship together. The gates of the prison are thrown open, they walk out, and the jailer and his family are saved. And I think there's something really key about the fact that Jesus died for the church, that Jesus is coming back for the church, and when the church worship him together corporately, it blesses him, and I think there's a response from God that is maybe more than it would be if it's just us on our own. I think that's something that's really key in our faith, that it's a corporate faith and that we worship corporately. So
there's something that changes when a group of God's people come together. There's the story of Paul you're talking about, that there's a power that's brought as the church comes together and worships together rather than just in its own pockets in our own houses. And also what you're saying, this idea of corporate identity, that we actually exist as a togetherness rather than just as individual Christians, that part of our identity is as the church.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think our obviously we have individual relationships with Jesus.
Yeah.
That's undeniable, but I think that we have a corporate relationship with Jesus. I think that the church has a relationship with him, and I think that is reflected when we worship together corporately.
I think the other thing for me is just this reflection of the imagery we see in the book of Revelation. Just that we see Christ on his throne and then a kind of wave after wave of people worshipping him. And there's somehow a reflection of that togetherness that happens on a Sunday morning or when we meet together to worship as a church. That we would start to reflect what's happening in the heavenlies, if you will.
I think it's really exciting. I think for me to think that this group of people who are meeting together on this particular day join in with what's happening in heaven and what's happening before the throne of God, and also join in with what's happening probably in churches all over the country and all over the world at that particular time. And so we make maybe hundreds of thousands of voices singing to God at that one time, and that surely can do nothing more than bless him.